Welcome to the Talk podcast with ideas strategist Linda Reed-Enever. Talk is where we chat about ideas and inspiration you can use to market your business. Get ready for practical tips you can implement today with your host, Linda Reed-Enever.
I am sitting here with a quote looking at me in our project manager right now that says, "Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm." And I must admit, as a business owner, that is absolutely 100% true, and especially when it comes to marketing. So in this episode of Talk, I wanted to share with you some tips and some tricks and some moments and some ways that you can walk from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm along the way. So in business and in marketing in particular, lots of what we do and lots of what we create is all about learning what works for our business. So we are going to put out posts out there that connect. We are going to put out posts there that don't connect. We are going to put out email campaigns that are highly successful. We'll post stuff randomly that we never thought was going to work, and it will be the biggest success. The thing about that is what we are working out here is what works and what doesn't work. Each failure tells us what we need to improve within our marketing, and each success tells us that we should maybe do a little bit more of that along the way. And that is what I do love about the game that I'm in. I do love that about marketing. Things change and we get to work out what's happening. So what maybe worked for us last week maybe won't work for this week. What maybe worked for the last campaign won't work for anyone else. And it's the same situation when we come to working with clients and managing those areas as well. Failure should never, ever be seen as a detrimental impact to your business. Failure or making a mistake is a learning opportunity. And as children, we learn from our mistakes. So why not as business owners? Should we not learn from our mistakes along the way and walk from failure to failure with no enthusiasm until we get a yes? I'm going to take you on a journey and a bit of a story with me right now. When I worked in call centers, and that was where I started my marketing journey. When I worked in call centers, we used to have this thing that every no was one closer to the yes. There was only going to be a certain amount of no's before you got that yes. And then you celebrated that yes when you got there with passion and enthusiasm and you went to go and get another one. But each one of those no's was equally much a celebration, because each one of those no's meant that we had taken someone who was not our target market, who was not our lead, who was never going to say yes to our product or service, and allow them to move on and us to find the right people that we needed to talk to. And the same happens when it comes to marketing your business, where you take a discovery call or you put your campaign or your product out in front of someone, or you lose a subscriber on your email list. Now, lots of people can see these as failures and they can want to, focus on the fact that they didn't win. But in lots of ways, that failure, as it's perceived, is actually your success. That person who's not subscribed to your email list anymore isn't taking up space. It's unlikely to buy. And so if they're upset because you sent a campaign email, guess what? It's most probably the best place for them to be is not on your email list, because we are nurturing those people through to sales. The person who doesn't like your Facebook post or dislikes your page, that's not a bad thing. Once again, it wasn't for them. And we know that in our business and in our life, we are never going to be for everyone. And that's fine. We need to embrace that uniqueness, because once again, it's a win. It's not a failure. We can now take this and enthusiastically march on and talk to the people that we want to work with. I've been working with lots of course creators and lots of people out there at the moment who are talking about reaching their target market and videos, and they're feeling like they're not getting enough reach or enough engagement along the way. But what they're missing the sight of is the reach that they actually get, the engagement they're actually getting from people. And the reach that you might get on a post might be 1 to 200. It might be 20. It might be 2 million. But imagine what it would be to have that many people in a room. I'd be happy to have 20 people in the room to talk about my product or service. So 20 people who saw your post was amazing. 200 people who saw your post was amazing. 2 million people. It's also amazing if they're the right people in the right target market. Some of the success measures we use within business are possibly even failure ones. I talk about content and the virility of content. If we can create an evergreen piece of content that's usable for our audience again and again, it becomes a valuable resource. If we jump on a trend and create something viral and we don't actually create something that's relevant to our audience, we attract a hell of a lot of noise that we then have to break through in our campaigns. So walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm is actually reframing that failure. Is it a failure or is it a step to yes? Winston Churchill used these lines, and it is something that I use every day. Sometimes what we think is a failure is actually our success, and we need to move from enthusiasm to we learnt something, take what the lesson is that we need to take from it, move on and keep moving until we get that win. Or maybe it's already a win and it's not a failure in the first place.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Talk with Linda Reed-Enever. Make sure you subscribe via your favourite podcast app so you don't miss the next great episode. You can find more ideas and inspiration at enevergroup.com.au.